If you've ever sat at your desk and quietly wondered, do I still want to live like this? This episode is for you. Today, I'm talking with Stephanie Cordis, a career ownership coach who helps women explore what's next when burnout, motherhood, or a life shifting moment makes you rethink everything. Stephanie spent 20 years in corporate before navigating her own turning point, a season of family health crises, personal burnout, and a career that no longer aligned with the life she actually wanted. If you're craving clarity, direction, or simply permission to explore new possibilities without blowing up your entire life, this conversation will meet you exactly where you are. Let's dive in. Hey, Mama, welcome to Career Growth for Working Moms. If you're stuck in a job that doesn't fit or burning out trying to do it all, you're in the right place. I'm Shannon, a career coach and fellow working mom. Here, you'll get simple career strategies and strength-based leadership tips to help you grow with clarity and confidence. So grab your coffee or reheat it for the third time, and let's do this. Today's guest is someone who deeply understands the emotional roller coaster of navigating what's next in your career, especially when life, motherhood, or burnout has you rethinking everything. I'm excited to welcome Stephanie Cordis, a career ownership coach with the Entrepreneur Source. After spending 2 decades in corporate roles, Stephanie made her own career pivot and now guides professionals through exploring new paths, whether that's a career shift, entrepreneurship, or simply gaining clarity about their next right step. She's known for her thoughtful, down to earth style of coaching. Her clients often describe her as part guide, part therapist, and part excellent listener, helping them think outside the box and make decisions that align with their values, their goals, and the lifestyle they want. Stephanie, I'm so excited to have you here today. I know the audience of working moms is going to appreciate your perspective on career, clarity, transitions, and taking empowered steps forward.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to be here, Shannon.
So, you spent 20 years in corporate before stepping into entrepreneurship. What was the turning point that made you ask, do I still want to live like this?
Well, I had a number of tough years. My eldest child was in high school, and she was diagnosed with a acute health issue that required surgery, and it's the kind of issue that it leaves you with chronic health issue and affects you the rest of your life. So that was very traumatic to go through at the time and have a high level corporate job. I actually had great support, I had a great boss at the time. Um, that was just, you can imagine, a family level, at a work level, really traumatic, but I got through it. And in fact, I can remember my boss telling me that you can't believe how effective you've been, and still, meeting all of your goals. And that was like a badge of honor to me,
Right, right.
that I was able to do that. And then after we get through this acute phase, it moves into this chronic phase where she still has tons of appointments and misses tons of school. And I had two other children that were younger, and the effects on them became more apparent. Um, and the time and attention they needed. So all of this stuff was just kind of building. You kind of do what you have to do to get through the acute stuff, and
Right.
then the chronic stuff starts setting in, and dealing with this chronic issue. And then my own chronic health issue appeared. Um, and I just realized that, it was chaotic. I was struggling. I was meeting my goals at work and starting to feel like I'm not sure how long I can keep this up. Um, and My family was struggling. My mother became ill, and I needed to step in and take care of her, and she was taking care of my grandmother at the time.
Oh, wow.
So all these things just started kind of happening and building on one another. And the moment my daughter got that diagnosis, I suddenly lost all ambition in my corporate career, my ambition to grow. I still wanted to do a good job, but I knew I no longer had that drive to go up. And then I just got to hold it together mode. So that was the real turning point, her initial diagnosis. And then I was just trying to kind of hold on for dear life, moving forward. And then over a couple years' time, I realized, I can't hold this together anymore. I can't keep performing at this level.
Right. Well, that's a lot. And I bet some of our listeners can relate to that. That's a lot of emotional stuff you were dealing with. And so then you made a career change. And I can assume that that's kind of feels risky to do in some ways because you're just not sure. So how did that feel, and what how can you encourage women that maybe they're not dealing exactly with that, but they're thinking about that career pivot? What would you say to them?
Well, what I would say to them is that, you know, small steps are still steps in the right direction. And actually stumbled upon making a small step for myself. I didn't know what to do. I was the primary earner.
Mm.
I didn't start off that way in my family. In fact, I was a secretary when I met my husband at the time. And then over time, I grew this successful corporate career and was ended up making twice as much as him. So
Wow.
the thought of walking away from my career was absolutely not on the table. He did well, but I did much better than he did. So that wasn't even a consideration, wasn't a possibility, wasn't something I was thinking of or would consider. And what happened was I just wanted to leave my current job. I was just burnt out and I wasn't considering leaving the workforce. I just wanted to find something else, just fresh start somewhere else. I knew I wouldn't be happy. I thought it would just be different. And I thought I would be challenged for a while, maybe a year. And then I would probably grow unhappy again and probably just have to make the switch again, which just sounded like enough at the time. But instead, what I found was I met a career ownership coach, which is what I do now. And she led me through a process based on education, awareness, and discovery about what else could I do. And so we started with my goals. What were my goals for the future? And you know what? No one had asked me that since forever, maybe fifth grade. You know, like, what are your goals for the future? Well, I think my high school yearbook said I want to, travel the world, move to New York City, and marry the man of my dreams. So, you know,
Yes.
so, no one had asked me that in a really long time. And I did have goals and things I hadn't thought of. And we all need to reassess our goals over time. Now I had 3 children. Um, what were my goals? And I had to think about that. And this is the same process I do with my clients now. So, I explored different possibilities. I hadn't thought about being a business owner before. Um, I told her my big plan for switching jobs to something else I knew I probably wouldn't like for very long. And, we looked at different possibilities. So, just opened up my eyes to different things that I could do. Um, and I did this on my own. I didn't talk to my husband about it. I kind of kept it to myself, like a little secret me time to just think about what could I do, focus on my own goals for a change,
Mhm.
and that's how it started.
That's interesting. I love that. So you talked about your career ownership. So what does that exactly mean? Especially, I know that there's these moms that are listening right now. They feel like they're pulled in 100 million directions. So what does career ownership really mean and look like for them?
Yeah, so owning your own career is just not being dragged around by your letting your career drag you through your life. It's you really owning it. So when I talk with my clients, we talk about what your goals are for the future. We've got some great tools to help them figure that out. And then we talk about the different vehicles of success. So maybe the best thing for you is to be in a W-2 job. Maybe it's just not the job you're in now. So we talk about that. So just by talking through that, maybe some people need to make a pivot into a different career or a different type of W-2 job. Maybe you're just not in the right job. Then suddenly you're taking ownership of that instead of just being kind of dragged through. I went to school to be a teacher, but I hate being a teacher. but I'm just going to stay being a teacher because that's the easiest thing to do. That's not really owning your career.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by career ownership. But there's also other vehicles for success that you could look into. People buy things in bulk and sell them on Amazon, or they make things and sell them on Etsy. Or if there's a business down the street that's for sale, you could look into buying that. Why not? Look
Right.
into it. Who knows? Maybe you maybe be really interested in it. Already has customers, maybe already has revenue. There's lots of different things that you could look into. You could look into starting a consulting business. If you're a baker, maybe you want to start a bakery. I don't know. I don't know what's right for everybody. The other thing that you could look into are business models that are already running successfully across the country, like a franchise. Um, that could be a good option for you too. So we look at all those different possibilities. And because I'm a coach and not a salesperson, we can do that in a safe place where you can, learn about those different possibilities and just gain more information.
I love that. So, how do you help these women separate maybe their fear and their from their intuition when they want to have these big career changes?
Yeah, exactly. So information is what's the cure for that. So that's what the process is all about. So I didn't know anything about franchising or the things that we were talking about. So it's just information. It doesn't hurt. It's okay. So that's what I do. I just share information with people, and I'm not pushy. You can see I'm nice.
Yes, you are.
People just decide one call at a time if they want to learn more. It's free to work with me because of the way my business is structured. So that's what we do. We just share information, and as you learn more, you become less scared, right? The fear goes
Mhm.
away when you learn more. And sometimes when people think, oh, if I start a business, that's just like rolling the dice. And when you say it like that, it does sound exactly like that. But when you learn about a business for 4 to 6 weeks,
Mhm.
and you get to see the financials and you get to meet other owners, and you learn about you see that they have a processes and procedures and operations manuals, and you go to the corporate headquarters, and you get all these data points. Suddenly you realize you have this wealth of information, and while nothing is guaranteed, you have all of these data points. So it's no longer like you're standing at the craps table rolling the dice. Now this is like an educated decision, and you're an
Right.
intelligent person. And now you basically know more about this business than you do about a job that you interviewed twice for, that could be a total disaster when you get in there and you really
Right.
don't know what you're getting into, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that because you're coming from I love that educated. Like you're not just it kind of takes the fear out, right? Like you're no longer fearful of it because you have the information that you need instead of just it's not just a random jump into a different career.
Exactly. It's not random at all, and it's just information. And so what people learn sometimes is that business ownership is not going to be right for them. And that's okay. It's
Right.
just information.
Right.
And then people never have to look back and say, gee, I wish I would have looked into that. Right?
Yeah,
They've
right.
explored it, they got the information, and now they know the answer because it's not right for everybody.
Mhm.
And I don't know what's right for you, or Sarah down the street, or the lady in the next town. I don't know, only you know. But you can't make an informed choice until you get all the information.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, what would you tell those working moms that maybe feel guilty about wanting that bigger life, that, something different, something bigger, and that they're feeling guilty about wanting that? Because I know that that happens sometimes. So, what would you say to that mom?
I think it's great to dream big. I think it's great to dream big, and there's a lot of different paths to getting an additional revenue stream if that's what you're looking for, or a better job, or to reach different goals. So I think first you have to figure out what those goals are, and then look at the different ways to get there.
Mm.
Not everybody is going to be able to make a jump maybe from a corporate career straight into business ownership. Sometimes people, an approach a lot of people like is to start an additional revenue stream on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Wait till that gets big enough, till they feel comfortable and safe enough to cut away from, the other business that they have going on, or their other job that they have, until they feel comfortable moving over. So there's a lot of different approaches that people can take to do that, but you really just have to investigate all your options. But you really have to start at the beginning. You have to start at the beginning and figure out what your goals are for the future before you can figure out the right way to achieve them.
Yes, the goals are important. And I like how you said, like, it doesn't have to be just cut the cord, leave the corporate job. You can start that on the side
Yeah.
and see how it feels before just like jumping with both feet. And I love that.
Exactly. You absolutely can do that. And in fact, I had to plan for a period of time. So when I did decide to do it, I still waited 6 months. I did cut the cord and go over. But I waited 6 months to do it. I waited for like a bonus to come through. I needed to save money. I needed to set up and make sure I had funds to cover, family expenses. So sometimes you got to plan for it. Sometimes you got to wait for it. Sometimes it takes longer than 6 months. Maybe you have to plan it for years.
Right.
So that's okay too. So it's not always just cutting the cord and
Right.
jumping over isn't always the right thing. Sometimes you have to have a thoughtful plan. So
Right. That
there's a lot.
strategy in place.
Yeah, strategy. Exactly. Exactly.
So, Stephanie, this has been such a great conversation. How can our listeners connect with you?
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me is to go to my website, which is Steph, like my name, STEPH, ahead.com. You can fill out your contact information. I can either call you or email you right away. You can also, that's my website, so you can book yourself directly on my calendar if you like. I've got a lot of resources there. As I said, I'm a free resource because of the way my business is structured. So I'd love to work with you. And I send all of my clients a free book called Your Career Revolution, which I think will really resonate with people that are dealing with maybe battered career syndrome and things like that. So that's the best way to get a hold of me.
Awesome. So before we wrap up today, I love to leave my listeners with a powerful takeaway. So, what is a small action these working moms can take maybe to get clear on what they really want for their career, even if maybe she's not ready to make a change, but at least like to dream big?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say, well, give yourself permission to be curious this week about your life. Take a moment to notice one area, or maybe you're craving something different. And instead of pushing that feeling aside, why don't you explore it and try to see what it's telling you?
I love that. Yes. Because it's obviously there for a reason. So go and
Right.
explore it. Just think about it. Don't just shove it down.
That's right, exactly. Like I knew I needed a better work-life balance. I had so many things I needed to accommodate, so that was my driving force. What's
Yes.
yours?
Yeah. I love that. Well, thank
Mhm.
you so much for being here with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.
Hey, Working Mama. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds to share it with a friend who's stuck in her career but doesn't want to sacrifice her family to grow? Also, please leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts. It seriously lights me up to know this show is helping you navigate burnout, find clarity, and lead with confidence. All right, time to shut down my laptop and pretend I'm not hiding from folding that laundry. I'll meet you back here soon for another episode of Career Growth for Working Moms. You've got this.